Have you ever opened your phone, looked at someone else's life, and suddenly felt like you weren't doing enough? Maybe someone bought a new car, maybe a friend got a promotion, maybe a classmate started a successful business, or maybe someone simply looked happier than you. And without even realizing it, you started comparing your life to theirs. It happens so quickly. One minute you're relaxing, and the next minute you're wondering, why am I behind? Why haven't I achieved that yet? Am I doing something wrong? If you've ever had thoughts like these, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost everyone experiences: comparison. Why do we compare ourselves to other people? Why does it make us unhappy, even when our own life was perfectly fine just a few minutes ago? And most importantly, how can we stop comparison from stealing our happiness? If you're learning English, this conversation will also help you practice natural expressions, everyday vocabulary, and real-life English that native speakers actually use. So, find a comfortable place, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin.
I think everyone compares themselves to others sometimes. Children do it, teenagers do it, adults do it, even successful people compare themselves to someone else. Sometimes we compare our appearance, sometimes our jobs, sometimes our relationships, sometimes our money, sometimes even our happiness. The strange thing is, comparison doesn't always happen because we want more. Sometimes it happens because we're afraid we're not enough.
That's such an important point. People often think comparison is about wanting someone else's life, but I don't think that's always true. Sometimes we're simply looking for proof that we're doing okay. Imagine you're learning English. You've been studying every day for 3 months. You're proud of your progress. Then you watch someone speaking perfect English after only 6 months of learning. Suddenly, your own progress doesn't feel exciting anymore. Nothing about your English changed. You're still improving. You're still learning. But your feelings changed. Why? Because your attention changed. Instead of looking at your own journey, you started looking at someone else's.
That reminds me of something funny. A few months ago, I planted a small flower in my garden. Every morning, I checked it. At first, nothing happened. Then a tiny green leaf appeared. I was so happy. But one day, I visited my neighbor's garden. Her flowers were much bigger, more colorful, much more beautiful. When I came back home, I suddenly felt disappointed. Not because my flower had stopped growing, it was still growing perfectly. I was disappointed because I compared it to someone else's flower.
That's actually a perfect example. Life is very similar. Everyone has a different season. Some people bloom early, some bloom later. Some people reach success at 25, others find it at 50. Some people discover their passion very young, others spend years searching. None of these paths are wrong, they're simply different. But comparison makes us forget that. Instead of asking, am I improving? We ask, am I ahead of everyone else? And those are two completely different questions.
Exactly. Sometimes we even compare things that don't belong together. For example, someone might compare their first job to another person's 20-year career, or compare their first English conversation to someone who has lived abroad for 10 years. That's not a fair comparison. It's like comparing a beginner to an expert.
And social media makes this even harder. Think about what we usually see online: beautiful vacations, perfect families, expensive restaurants, big smiles, amazing achievements. But we rarely see the stress, the failures, the lonely nights, the mistakes, or the hard work behind those moments. It's almost like watching the movie trailer without seeing all the difficult scenes.
Yes, people usually share their highlights, not their ordinary Tuesday, not the dishes waiting in the sink, not the argument they had before taking that perfect photo, not the anxiety they felt before giving a presentation. Real life is messy, but social media often looks perfect. And when we compare our real life to someone else's edited life, we almost always lose.
Here's a question for everyone listening. Think about someone you've compared yourself to recently. Don't judge yourself, just think. Was that comparison helping you or hurting you? Did it inspire you or make you feel smaller? Sometimes just asking that question can completely change how we see the situation, because not every comparison is useful. Some comparisons teach us, others only steal our peace. And learning the difference might be one of the most important life skills we ever develop.
I like that. Maybe the goal isn't to stop comparing forever. Maybe the goal is simply to notice it before it controls our emotions. Because once we notice it, we have a choice. We can continue feeling unhappy, or we can return our attention to our own journey.
Exactly. And today's conversation is all about learning how to do that. We'll explore why comparison happens, how it affects our confidence, and how we can slowly build a healthier way of thinking. So stay with us. I think today's discussion might change the way you look at your own progress. And while you're listening, don't forget to repeat new words aloud, practice the expressions, and enjoy learning English naturally through conversation. Let's continue. Let me ask you something, Nora. Have you ever felt completely happy until you saw someone else's success? Not because you wanted exactly what they had, but because it suddenly made you question yourself. I think that's one of the strangest things about comparison. It can change our mood without changing our life. Nothing around us is different. Our family's the same, our home is the same, our job is the same, our dreams are the same. But suddenly, our happiness disappears. Not because our life became worse, but because someone else's life looked better.
Yes, and I think many people don't even notice when it happens. It can happen in just a few seconds. You're drinking your morning coffee, you open your phone, you scroll through a few photos. Someone is traveling, someone bought a beautiful house, someone got married, someone started a new business, someone speaks English fluently. And before you know it, you're asking yourself, what am I doing with my life?
Exactly. Our brain is always collecting information. It's always asking questions. Where am I? How am I doing? Am I safe? Am I successful? Am I accepted? Thousands of years ago, people compared themselves for survival. They wanted to know if they belonged to the group. If everyone else was running, they probably needed to run too. If everyone else found food, they needed to know where. Comparison helped humans survive. But today, our brain is still using the same habit in a completely different world. Now, instead of comparing ourselves to 20 people in our village, we compare ourselves to millions of people on the internet. That's exhausting.
And it's impossible to win because no matter how successful you become, there will always be someone richer, someone younger, someone stronger, someone more famous, someone who seems happier. If your happiness depends on being better than everyone else, you'll never feel satisfied. There will always be another person to compare yourself with.
That's why I think comparison can become a habit, not because we enjoy it, but because we do it automatically. Sometimes we compare our salary, sometimes our clothes, sometimes our body, sometimes our English, sometimes even our personalities. We start thinking, I wish I were more confident. I wish I looked like that. I wish I had their life. But we forget something very important. We only see the outside. We don't know what's happening inside.
That's true. Years ago, I met a woman who always looked cheerful. She smiled all the time, she had a successful career, she traveled often. Everyone thought she had the perfect life. But one day, she told me something I'll never forget. She said, Nora, people think I'm always happy, but they only see the moments I choose to share. That sentence stayed with me because it's true for so many people. We never really know what someone else is carrying.
I remember hearing a similar story. A famous actor was interviewed on television. The interviewer asked, "Why do you always smile?" The actor laughed and then said, "Because people expect me to." That answer surprised everyone. From the outside, his life looked perfect, but inside, he was struggling with stress and loneliness. It reminded me that appearances can be very misleading. The happiest looking person in the room may be fighting the hardest battle.
That's why comparison can be dangerous. It encourages us to compare our private reality with someone else's public image. Those two things are completely different. Your private reality includes your fears, your mistakes, your unfinished goals, your bad days, and your quiet moments. But someone else's public image usually includes their biggest achievements, their best photos, their happiest memories, and their proudest moments. Those are not equal.
Exactly. Imagine two books. One book is completely open. You can read every page, every success, every failure, every difficult chapter. The second book only lets you read the cover. Which book is your life? The open one. You know every chapter. Now, which book belongs to everyone else? Usually, only the cover. Yet somehow, we compare our entire story to someone else's cover. That's never a fair comparison.
I love that example. And here's another thought. Sometimes the people we admire are comparing themselves to someone else too. The person you think is successful may feel unsuccessful. The person you think is beautiful may feel insecure. The person you think has everything may believe they're falling behind. Comparison doesn't disappear when people become successful. Sometimes it simply changes direction.
That's such an important lesson because many people believe when I become successful, I'll finally stop comparing myself. But that's usually not what happens. If comparison is a habit, success won't automatically remove it. Someone earning $50,000 compares themselves to someone earning 100,000. Someone with 1 million followers compares themselves to someone with 5 million. The numbers change, but the habit stays. That's why real confidence doesn't come from having more. It comes from appreciating what you already have.
And appreciation is something we often forget. Every day, our attention naturally moves towards what's missing, not towards what's already here. Instead of saying, I'm grateful that my English is improving, we say, why am I not fluent yet? Instead of celebrating progress, we focus on perfection.
Maybe that's the biggest lesson so far. Progress and perfection are not the same thing. Perfection is impossible. Progress is real. Progress means becoming a little better one day at a time. One conversation, one habit, one small step. And when we stop chasing perfection, we finally notice how far we've already come. That's a wonderful feeling, and I think it's a much healthier way to measure success. Let's keep exploring this idea together. Nora, can I tell you about something that happened a few years ago? It wasn't a big moment. No one else even knew about it, but it changed the way I think. I was having lunch with an old friend. We hadn't seen each other in almost 5 years. As we talked, he told me about his new job. He had bought a beautiful apartment. He started investing. He even talked about planning his next vacation. I smiled, I congratulated him, and I truly meant it. But when I drove home, I felt strangely disappointed. Not because anything bad had happened to me. Actually, my own life was going quite well. I had a job I enjoyed, good friends, a healthy family, enough money to live comfortably. But for some reason, none of that felt like enough anymore.
I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes another person's success changes the way we see our own success, even when nothing has changed. It's almost like putting on a pair of glasses that only lets you see what you're missing.
Exactly. That evening, I asked myself a strange question. If my friend hadn't told me about his apartment, would I still feel unhappy? The answer was obvious. No. I would have gone home feeling grateful, relaxed, satisfied. So the apartment wasn't really the problem. The comparison was. That's when I realized comparison has a way of creating problems that didn't exist 5 minutes earlier.
That's such an interesting way to look at it. Sometimes comparison doesn't steal our success, it steals our ability to enjoy it. We stop celebrating what we already have because we're busy looking at what someone else has.
And there's another reason comparison is unfair. Everyone starts from a different place. Think about learning English. Some learners grew up hearing English movies every day. Some attended international schools. Others moved to English-speaking countries. But someone else may have started learning English only 6 months ago. If those two people compare themselves, the result won't be fair. Their journeys are completely different.
That's true in almost every part of life. Some people have supportive families. Others have to solve every problem alone. Some people have more free time. Others work 2 jobs. Some people have excellent teachers. Others teach themselves. When we compare results without understanding the different starting points, we ignore half the story.
Exactly. Imagine two people climbing a mountain. One person starts halfway up. The other person starts at the very bottom. Now imagine they both reach the same place. Who worked harder? We don't know because we didn't see where each person started. Life works the same way. We often compare where people are without knowing where they began.
That's a great example. It reminds us to be kinder, not only to other people, but also to ourselves. Sometimes we expect ourselves to make impossible progress in a very short time. We say, I should already be fluent. I should already have more money. I should already know what I'm doing. That word should can create so much unnecessary pressure.
You're right. Instead of asking, why am I not there yet? Maybe we should ask, what can I improve today? Because today's actions create tomorrow's results. Small improvements don't seem exciting. Reading 10 pages, learning 5 new English words, going for a short walk, saving a little money, practicing for 15 minutes. None of those things look impressive, but after 1 year, they can completely change your life.
That's one reason I love the idea of tiny progress. People often wait for big changes, a new job, a new house, a huge achievement. But real life usually changes quietly, one habit at a time, one conversation at a time, one decision at a time. You rarely notice the difference until you look back.
Exactly. Think about when you were a child. You probably didn't notice yourself growing taller every day. The changes were too small. But after 1 year, everyone could see the difference. Personal growth works the same way. Confidence grows quietly. Knowledge grows quietly. Discipline grows quietly. Kindness grows quietly. Most valuable things take time.
And that's why comparison can make us impatient. We see someone else's finished result, but we don't see the thousands of ordinary days that came before it. We admire the success without seeing the practice. We admire the confidence without seeing the fear they overcame. We admire the beautiful ending without reading the difficult middle chapters.
That's a wonderful way to say it. Every successful person has a story that most people never hear. Long days, disappointments, mistakes, failure, doubt, learning, trying again. Those moments usually happen in private, but they're the reason success becomes possible. So the next time you compare yourself to someone, remember this. You may be comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20, and that's never a fair comparison.
Maybe real confidence isn't believing you're better than everyone else. It's simply trusting that your journey, your pace, your dreams, and your definition of success are allowed to be different. And that's something worth remembering every single day.
I couldn't agree more. And in the next part of our conversation, let's talk about something practical. How can we actually stop comparison from controlling our thoughts? Because understanding the problem is important, but learning what to do next can completely change the way we live. So, Nora, we've talked about why comparison happens. We've talked about why it feels so powerful. Now comes the most important question. What can we actually do about it? Because saying, just stop comparing yourself sounds simple, but it doesn't really help. Our minds don't work like a light switch. You can't simply turn comparison off. So maybe, instead of trying to stop it, we should learn how to manage it.
I completely agree. And I think the first step is becoming aware. Many people compare themselves all day long without even noticing. It happens so automatically that it feels normal. You see someone wearing expensive clothes, you compare. You hear about someone's promotion, you compare. You watch someone speaking perfect English, you compare. Before long, your entire day is controlled by invisible comparisons. But once you notice the habit, you've already taken the first step toward changing it.
Awareness really changes everything. Imagine you're driving a car. If you don't know you're moving toward the wrong road, you'll keep driving in the wrong direction. But the moment you realize it, you can turn the wheel. Our thoughts work the same way. The goal isn't to never have negative thoughts. The goal is to notice them before they control us.
Exactly, and here's something I've started doing. Whenever I catch myself comparing my life to someone else's, I ask myself one simple question. Is this helping me? That's it. Not, am I wrong for feeling this? Not, why am I such a jealous person? Just, is this thought helping me? Most of the time, the answer is no. And once I realize that, it's much easier to let the thought go.
I love that question because sometimes comparison can actually be useful. Let's imagine two situations. In the first one, you see someone speaking excellent English. Instead of feeling jealous, you become curious. You ask, what books did they read? How often do they practice? What can I learn from them? Now, comparison becomes education. It gives you ideas. It gives you direction. It gives you hope.
But now imagine a different situation. You see the same person. This time you think, I'll never be that good. I'm too old. I'm too slow. They're naturally talented. Now comparison becomes discouragement. Instead of motivating you, it convinces you to quit. The person didn't change, only your thinking changed.
That's a huge difference. Healthy comparison says, I can learn from them. Unhealthy comparison says, I'll never be enough. One thought gives you energy, the other takes your energy away. That's why we need to pay attention not only to who we're comparing ourselves with, but also to the story we're telling ourselves.
Another habit that has helped me is celebrating small wins. People often wait for huge achievements before they allow themselves to feel proud. But why? Why not celebrate finishing a difficult book? Why not celebrate speaking English for 10 minutes? Why not celebrate waking up earlier than yesterday? Small victories deserve attention too, because they're the building blocks of bigger success.
That's so true. Imagine climbing a staircase. If you ignore every single step and only celebrate when you reach the top, the journey will feel very long. But if you appreciate every step, you'll enjoy the climb much more. Life isn't only about reaching goals. It's also about becoming the person who can reach them. And that person is built one habit at a time.
There's another practical idea. Sometimes we need to change what we're looking at. Think about your social media. Every account you follow affects your thoughts. If certain posts leave you feeling discouraged every single day, it's okay to unfollow them. Not because the person is doing anything wrong, but because you're protecting your own peace of mind. Your mental health matters too.
I used to feel guilty about that. I thought, if I unfollow someone, I'm being rude. But then I realized something: creating healthy boundaries isn't rude, it's responsible. You don't have to fill your mind with things that constantly make you feel inadequate. Instead, follow people who educate you, inspire you, encourage you. People who remind you that growth is possible, not impossible.
I like that idea. And inspiration feels very different from pressure. Pressure says you'll never catch up. Inspiration says you can improve too. One creates fear, the other creates hope. That's the kind of energy we need in our lives.
Before we finish this conversation, I'd like everyone listening to do something. Think about one thing you've improved this year. Maybe your English, maybe your confidence, maybe your health, maybe your patience, maybe your relationships. It doesn't have to be something big, just one thing. Take a moment and appreciate it, because if you never stop to notice your progress, your mind will always believe you're standing still, and that's simply not true. You're growing, even if it's happening one small step at a time. Let's continue with some useful vocabulary and everyday expressions that will help you talk naturally about confidence, comparison, and personal growth in English. Welcome back, everyone. We've spent today's conversation talking about comparison, confidence, and learning to appreciate our own journey. Now, let's slow things down. This is one of my favorite parts of every episode, because today, we're not just learning about life, we're also learning English that you can actually use in real conversations. We'll learn some useful vocabulary, natural expressions, and then we'll practice them together. Ready? Let's begin.
Our first word today is comparison. 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 Comparison means looking at two or more things to see how they are different or similar. Here's a natural sentence. I've stopped making unhealthy comparisons. Or, comparing myself to others only makes me feel stressed. You'll hear native speakers use this word very often.
Our next word is progress. 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 Progress means moving forward, improving little by little. Here's an example. My English isn't perfect, but I'm making good progress. That's a wonderful sentence because it sounds positive and realistic. Notice something. Native speakers don't always say, my English is perfect. They often focus on progress instead of perfection.
Our third word is confidence. 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 Confidence means believing in yourself. Here's an example. The more I practice, the more confidence I gain. Or, speaking every day has improved my confidence. Confidence grows slowly, just like a plant. Every little practice session helps.
Next is grateful. 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 Being grateful means appreciating the good things you already have. Listen carefully. I'm grateful for the opportunities I have. Or, I'm grateful that I can learn English every day. Gratitude changes our attention. Instead of looking at what's missing, we begin noticing what's already here.
Our final vocabulary word is journey. 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 Journey doesn't only mean traveling from one place to another, it can also describe your personal growth. For example, learning English is a long journey, or everyone has a different journey. This word is very common in podcasts, interviews, and motivational conversations.
Great job. Now let's learn some natural English expressions. These are expressions native speakers use every day. The first one is take your time. If someone says take your time, they don't mean walk slowly. They mean there's no need to hurry. For example, I'm still learning English. That's okay, take your time. It's a kind, friendly expression.
Here's another useful one step at a time. This expression reminds someone not to worry about everything at once. Imagine you're learning English. There are thousands of words, hundreds of grammar rules, many pronunciation challenges. Instead of worrying about everything, you simply remember one step at a time.
The next expression is everyone has their own pace. This is perfect for today's topic. Maybe your friend learns English faster. Maybe someone gets a promotion before you. Maybe another person reaches their goals sooner. That's okay. Everyone has their own pace. Life isn't a race.
Here's another expression you'll hear often. Keep going. It's simple but powerful. Imagine your friend says, I still make mistakes. You can smile and say, keep going, you're improving. Sometimes those two words are exactly what someone needs to hear.
And our final expression is don't be too hard on yourself. Native speakers use this all the time. If someone is blaming themselves, feeling guilty, or expecting perfection, you can gently say, don't be too hard on yourself. It means be kinder to yourself. Remember, you're still learning.
Now, let's practice these words together in a natural conversation. Imagine we're having coffee together. Liam, you seem a little quiet today. What's on your mind?
Honestly, I've been comparing myself to someone at work. He's younger than me, but he seems much more successful. It made me question my own progress.
I understand, but remember, everyone has their own journey. You don't know everything that happened behind his success. Maybe he's been working toward that goal for years.
You're probably right. Sometimes I only notice what I haven't achieved instead of appreciating how much I've already improved.
Exactly. Look at your English. A year ago, you weren't comfortable speaking for 5 minutes. Today, you're having long conversations. That's real progress. You should be proud of that.
I guess I forget to celebrate small wins. I'm always waiting for some huge achievement.
Many people do that, but confidence grows from small victories, not just big ones. So take your time, keep going, and don't be too hard on yourself.
I like that advice. Actually, I already feel better. Sometimes we don't need a completely different life. We simply need a different perspective.
Exactly. Changing the way we think often changes the way we feel. And that's something all of us can practice every single day.
Excellent work, everyone. You learned new vocabulary, useful expressions, and practiced a real English conversation. Now, let's finish today's episode with one final discussion where we'll bring everything together and leave you with a simple challenge you can start today. We've talked about comparison, confidence, progress, and learning to appreciate our own journey. Before we say goodbye today, I'd like to leave you with one final conversation. Not about being perfect, not about becoming better than everyone else, but about becoming a better version of yourself. Because I truly believe that's the only comparison that really matters.
I agree. Sometimes people ask me, Nora, what's the secret to feeling confident? And honestly, I don't think confidence suddenly appears one morning. It's something we build every time we try again, every time we continue after making a mistake, every time we choose courage instead of fear. Confidence grows quietly, just like trust.
That's beautifully said. You know, when I was younger, I thought successful people never doubted themselves. I imagined they woke up every morning feeling completely confident, never nervous, never afraid, never unsure. But the older I get, the more I realize something. Almost everyone has moments of doubt. The difference isn't that confident people never feel afraid. The difference is they don't let fear stop them. They keep moving, even when they're uncertain.
Exactly. Think about learning English. Do you remember your first English sentence? Maybe it wasn't perfect. Maybe your pronunciation wasn't correct. Maybe you made grammar mistakes. But imagine if you had stopped that day. Imagine saying, I'm not good enough. I'll never improve. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast today. Progress happened because you continued, not because you were perfect.
That's an important reminder. Sometimes we underestimate consistency. People often ask, what's the fastest way to improve? But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the better question is, what's the easiest habit I can repeat every day? Because success usually belongs to people who keep showing up, not just people who feel motivated. Motivation comes and goes. Habits stay.
That's true. There are days when you'll feel excited. There are also days when you won't feel like studying, or practicing, or working towards your goals. Those days matter the most because every time you continue anyway, you become a little stronger. Discipline isn't about feeling motivated, it's about doing what matters even when motivation is missing.
I have a small challenge for everyone listening today. It's very simple. Tonight, before you go to bed, take out a notebook or open the Notes app on your phone. Then answer these three questions. First, what is one thing I'm proud of this week? Second, what is one small thing I improved? And third, what is one small step I can take tomorrow? That's it. No long list, no impossible goals, just three honest answers. If you do this every week, you'll begin to notice something amazing. You'll stop measuring your life by someone else's achievements, and you'll start measuring it by your own growth.
I love that challenge. It's simple but powerful because happiness often comes from noticing what we usually ignore. The kind message you sent, the healthy meal you cooked, the book you finished, the English words you learned, the difficult conversation you handled well. These moments may seem small, but together they become the story of your life.
And remember this: someone else's success doesn't reduce your chances of success. Life isn't a competition with a limited number of winners. There isn't only one opportunity, one dream, one happy life. Your path belongs to you. Their path belongs to them. The world is big enough for both stories to exist. So instead of asking, why are they ahead of me? Try asking, what can I do today to move one step forward? That's a question with a useful answer.
Exactly. And every time you choose growth over comparison, gratitude over jealousy, and patience over pressure, you're building a healthier mindset. That doesn't mean comparison will disappear forever. We're all human. Sometimes those thoughts will come back. But now you'll recognize them. And when you recognize them, they become much easier to manage.
Before we finish, let's remember today's biggest lessons. Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Don't compare your everyday life to someone else's highlight reel. Celebrate small progress. Practice gratitude. Take one step at a time. And most importantly, be patient with yourself. Real growth takes time.
If today's conversation made you think or helped you learn some new English, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what is one thing you're proud of about yourself this year? It can be something big or something very small. Every achievement matters, and reading your stories might encourage someone else to keep going too.
If you enjoyed learning English through real-life conversations like this one, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Every week, we bring you slow, clear, and natural English conversations designed to help you improve your listening, build your vocabulary, and speak English with more confidence. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Keep learning, keep believing in yourself, and keep moving forward one step at a time. We'll see you again in our next English conversation. Take care and goodbye.